This is the euro dollar on the 60-minute time frame. It's a trade I got in just over an hour ago. I think it actually may have been an hour and a half ago. A little bit too early to do the video. I'd only had one coffee by that time, and I've just come back to the charts, and we've had the break to the downside, so I thought it best that I crack on with the video and show you why I've got short this particular pair, considering we've already hit the structure level that I would initially have taken first targets at. And so what I need to do is let's remove this information off, let's delete it, and do our top down analysis from the daily time frame first of all. So quite importantly here, what I was looking at is we have this potential head and shoulders setting up, very large head and shoulders, and if we put a structure level in here, what we had here is we had a wedge pattern on the daily time frame looking like, well, I can actually put it like this, and what happened is we broke to the downside, and if I put another structure level in where we turned, we actually came down to test the 1300. And if we look left for that structure, let me just take off the VS1 levels, we did actually have a zone here at that even handled number, and we can clearly see why we had the bounce off from that level. However, I am still anticipating price can come lower. I certainly think that we can come down a little bit further to the 112.70s, very conservative. I do think the next level to be tested is going to be the 111.20s. And so because we've had this new low, and we are in trend here, because we've had this new low and we've come back up to test this trend line, which was at the 117 flat, I was looking for shorting opportunities since that level. Now if we drop down to the 240, what we've actually done, if we zoom in, is we actually had a 3-point move. We were trending down quite nicely like this, and we've pulled back up. So I'm looking at the market coming back into the previous outside return, which is here, which also just happens to be a 382 retracement of this main swing. And you can see that 382 coming in at 116.02, so that psychological number 11600. And if I just move that structure level up to there, you can see that here we've already tested this level. However, we're trending quite nicely, and I'm anticipating a retest of this level and a continuation. So if we drop down to the 60-minute, which is my lowest trading time frame, and I was looking for my shorting opportunity, well, as mentioned, we came into that 382, we came into the 11600, and just here we had a lower low, lower close. You'll actually have to bring on the data box to look at it, but we did actually close 1 pip lower than the previous candle, and this is our last outside return. This is our most recent outside return, and if you look at the RSI, we did actually have hidden divergence, although we didn't actually go overbought on the RSI. Now on the this particular pair, I can take the RSI oversold at 70 instead of 80, and that's what I did in this instance, and from there we've seen the fall away. So let's bring back on the targets, entry stops and targets should I say. So stops went above this high, an ATR above the high. It was only 11 at the time, so that put me at 116.40. First targets are down here at 115.39, I think they are, and secondary targets, well, let me go back out to the dailies just to show you those secondary targets. They are a retest of this main swing down here. So in terms of the risk to reward, it is looking like this. So there's my risk. Here's the reward coming in there. We'll make that one yellow, sorry, green, we'll make that one. And secondary targets are all the way down here. That's where the money is in those secondary targets. So that's the reason why I entered the trade even though we'd already tested the structure point where I thought price would come to. But I do believe price can come lower, and we'll come back and see if this was a winning trade or not. And we're back on the euro dollar, and I was hoping that this would be a very pain-free trade. Unfortunately, it's looking like I'm going to be stopped out for break even. And let me just remove the EVS1 levels. And what happened is we came down to a couple of pips of the candle body lows here. So we came down to, the candle body lows were 115.40. Price came down to 115, just 115.42, 115.43, and we've just rallied back up. And so I've moved a couple of pips past break even, and we see price at the moment just fluctuating. So in this instance I've moved to break even. We've come close enough to targets, and if we go to the 240, in fact there we go, and we're out of that trade for break even. If we go to the 240, you can clearly see that we'd come down and retested. So a little bit more conservative here, moving to break even, because as I mentioned we'd already retested the lows. This could just be a small retracement, you know, before we stop and rally all the way back down again. But I stuck to the rules, and they were that we'd come within a few pips of my the candle body lows here and targets, and because we've retested the lows, it's a real shame that that's a break-even trade.